His official salary is $112,000 a year. His palace on the Black Sea is worth $1.3 billion. His art collection is valued at $2 billion. His fleet includes over 50 aircraft and yachts that cost more than most countries' defense budgets. And behind closed doors, intelligence analysts estimate his real net worth at $200 billion, a fortune that would make him the wealthiest person on Earth if it could ever be verified. This is Vladimir Putin, the man who has pulled the strings of Russian power for over 2 decades while officially earning less than a mid-level American dentist. Watch until the end, because the gap between what Putin declares and what Putin controls is the most expensive lie in modern politics. The rise from a KGB spook to the man who calls the shots in Moscow. Vladimir Putin was born in 1952 inches, St. Petersburg, then called Leningrad into a family with deep roots in the Soviet power structure. His grandmother cooked for Lenin and Stalin. His father was a World War II veteran who survived the siege of Leningrad. From the jump, Putin was immersed in a world where power, secrecy, and survival were not abstract concepts but daily realities. He studied law, joined the Communist Party, and then made a move that would define his entire trajectory. He joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's feared intelligence agency, where he spent years learning the tradecraft of espionage, recruitment, information control, and the art of operating in the shadows while projecting calm authority in public. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 could have been the end of Putin's career. Instead, it was a launch pad. He landed on his feet in St. Petersburg city government, built connections with Russia's emerging oligarch class, and caught the attention of Boris Yeltsin's inner circle. By 1999, Putin had climbed the ranks to become prime minister, and when Yeltsin resigned on New Year's Eve of that year, Putin stepped into the presidency. He has not let go since. Through a revolving door of presidential and prime ministerial terms, a constitutional workaround that critics describe as a power grab dressed up in legal clothing, Putin has maintained an iron grip on Russian governance for over a quarter century. The opposition has been systematically sidelined, jailed, exiled, poisoned, or in some cases, simply disappeared. The message to anyone thinking about challenging his authority is crystal clear. You do not take on a man who runs the Kremlin and walk away unscathed. But the real story is not how Putin holds power. It is how he monetizes it. Because Russia's president earns an official annual salary of just $112,000 a paycheck that would barely cover the mortgage on a modest home in most American cities. Putin's declared income puts him in the same tax bracket as a high school principal. Yet the lifestyle he maintains, the palaces, the yachts, the aircraft, the art costs billions. The disconnect between official income and visible consumption is so extreme that it has become the defining paradox of Putin's public identity. He is either the most frugal civil servant in human history or the most successful kleptocrat, a man who has figured out how to live like a trillionaire on a $100,000 salary by blurring the line between state assets and personal luxuries until the distinction ceases. To exist, when a president earns $112,000 a year, but lives in a $1.3 billion palace. Is the salary a joke, or is the palace the real punchline? Tell us in the comments. The palace $1.3 billion, 39 times the size of Monaco, and a pole dancing room. In January 2021, Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny's team released a documentary that blew the lid off the most extravagant private residence ever attributed to a sitting head of state. The property, known simply as Putin's Palace, sits on the Black Sea coast in western Russia, and its scale is jaw-dropping even by the standards of this channel. The estate covers a land area 39 times the size of Monaco, approximately 30 square miles of coastline and forest controlled by a single compound. The central villa alone encompasses 190,000 square feet, roughly the size of a mid-range shopping mall, and the surrounding grounds include a 5-story underground ice hockey rink, a 27,000 square foot greenhouse, a private church, a 260-foot drawbridge, 2 helicopter landing pads, a communications tower, a 27,000 square meter guest villa, and an amphitheater currently under construction. The interior is where the excess goes off the rails. The design follows an Italian neoclassical aesthetic, the kind of old money European style that screams wealth without saying a word. Walls are covered in gold leaf. The main hall features a marble bar. A velvet-lined theater seats dozens. A two-story formal hall is finished with the kind of materials that most luxury hotels cannot afford. And then there are the rooms that no official residence would ever contain. A hookah lounge with a pole dancing stage, a full-scale casino, and arcade gaming room amenities that paint a picture of a man whose private tastes are significantly less austere than his public image suggests. An 8 to 0 foot swimming pool, a state-of-the-art gymnasium, and underground tunnels leading to a private beach, and a secret room with ocean-facing windows complete a property whose estimated value exceeds $1.3 billion. The security around the palace is no joke. 17,000 acres of surrounding land are controlled by Russia's Federal Security Service, the FSB, under a lease extending to 2068. The airspace above the estate is restricted. Approach by land requires FSB clearance. Approach by sea is monitored by coastal surveillance systems. The compound operates as a sovereign enclave within Russian territory, a private state within a state funded by public money, but controlled by a single individual whose official income would not cover property's annual landscaping budget. Putin has denied ownership, calling the documentary a fabrication. But the construction records, the security arrangements, and the sheer audacity of the design tell a different story. One where a man earning $112,000 a year somehow ended up with a palace that puts Versailles to shame. The wardrobe and the art $3,200 tracksuits and a $2 billion collection nobody can see. The palace is the headline. The personal consumption is the fine print, and the fine print reveals a lifestyle that runs through money like water. Putin's casual wardrobe includes athletic, were made from Loro Piana silk tracksuits that retail for approximately $3,200 each. His formal attire is custom tailored by Keaton and Brioni Italian houses, whose bespoke suits start at $5,000 and climb into the tens of thousands depending on fabric and construction. His neckties are Valentino. His personal watch collection is valued at several $1 million, though the specific pieces are rarely photographed. Clearly enough for definitive identification, a level of visual discretion that is itself a form of tradecraft inherited from Putin's KGB training. But the wardrobe is small potatoes compared to the art. Putin is reported to possess a private art collection valued at approximately $2 billion, a portfolio that allegedly includes works by Leonardo da Vinci and other old masters. The collection has never been publicly exhibited, independently verified, or formally cataloged by any art institution. It exists in the same shadow zone as most of Putin's wealth reported by intelligence agencies and investigative journalists, denied by the Kremlin and impossible to confirm without access to private spaces that no journalist or auditor has ever been permitted to enter. A $2 billion art collection owned by a man earning $112,000 a year will require approximately 17,857 years of his official salary to purchase a calculation that speaks for itself about the gap between what Putin earns and what Putin possesses. Putin also maintains multiple residences beyond the Black Sea Palace. He has lived for over 20 years at Novo Ogriovo, a 19th century estate owned by the Russian state, where he has hosted foreign leaders, including Barack Obama, behind walls that are significantly more imposing than those of the White House. A summer retreat on the Black Sea coast provides additional accommodation. Under Russian law, former presidents may designate one state residence as a permanent home, a provision that effectively guarantees Putin access to palatial living quarters funded by Russian taxpayers for the remainder of his life, regardless of whether he remains in office. The properties, the wardrobe, the art, each line item individually would be unremarkable for a legitimate billionaire. Together, for a man earning a government salary, they amount to a smoking gun that nobody in Russia has the power to investigate. When a president's tracksuit costs more than some families earn in a month, is it personal style or a quiet flex on a nation that is supposed to believe he lives modestly? Your analysis below. The fleet over 50 aircraft, gold-plated bathrooms, and yachts that cross oceans. Putin's aviation fleet includes over 50 aircraft, a number that dwarfs the air force of some small nations. In theory, he does not personally own any of them. In practice, the distinction between state aircraft and personal aircraft vanishes when you are the state. The flagship is a customized Ilyushin IL-96, a long-range wide-body jet whose interior has been gutted and rebuilt to Putin's specifications. One cabin alone costs approximately $11 million to outfit. The bathroom fixtures are gold-plated. The total aircraft value is estimated at approximately $50 million. A Dassault Falcon 7X, a French-built business jet seating 16 passengers and valued at approximately $40 million, provides additional flexibility for shorter routes and diplomatic missions where the IL-9XS profile would be excessive. Helicopters are always on standby, the specifics classified, the availability guaranteed. On the water, Putin's fleet punches well above what any civil servant salary could bankroll. The Cheka, formerly known as the Lafon, is a 177-foot yacht built in Turkey. Purchased in 2011, capable of transatlantic crossings and accommodating 12 guests. Its estimated value is approximately $40 million, but the Cheka is the warm-up act. The Graceful is the main event, a vessel whose amenities read like a five-star resort bolted onto a hull. A 50-foot indoor swimming pool that converts into a dance floor, a helicopter landing pad, a glass elevator, a balcony-equipped gym overlooking the ocean, an outdoor hot tub, and VIP accommodations for a 15-guest finish to a standard that most luxury hotels cannot match. Annual maintenance costs alone run approximately $7 million. The yacht's total value is estimated at approximately $110 million, nearly 1,000 times Putin's official annual salary spent on keeping a single boat seaworthy and staffed. The car collection is where the paradox gets truly wild. Putin's personal vehicles include a Lada Kalina Sport and a ZAZ-968 ordinary Russian cars that project an image of modesty so calculated that it functions as propaganda. The cars he actually uses are a different story. The Oris Senate L700, Russia's answer to the Rolls-Royce, developed specifically for presidential use, features a luxury interior valued at approximately $300,000. A Mercedes-Benz S600 Pullman Guard, an armored limousine stretching 6.5 meters with a V12 engine producing 530 horsepower and seating for four in a rear compartment that resembles a private lounge, is valued at approximately $1.5 million. The contrast between the official Lada and the actual Pullman is the brand in miniature. Project humility, consume extravagance, and rely on state secrecy to ensure nobody can prove the difference. The real fortune, $200 billion, him behind a $112,000 salary. And here we arrive at the number that turns the entire story upside down, because the palaces, the yachts, the aircraft, the art, and the Italian suits are merely the visible tip of an iceberg whose underwater mass has been the subject of intelligent analysis for over 2 decades. Multiple credible sources, including former associates who have flipped Western intelligence agencies and investigative journalists from organizations, including the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, have estimated Putin's real personal wealth at approximately $200 billion. If accurate, that figure would make Putin not merely a billionaire, but one of the wealthiest individuals in human history, richer than Jeff Bezos, richer than Bill Gates, and operating an asset portfolio that is hidden behind layers of shell companies, oligarch proxies, and state institutions specifically designed to make the money untraceable.